Hello friends, my name is Jayesh. I have worked for last 2 decades on a lot of development focused initiatives sponsored by corporates, development organizations, NGOs, and well-meaning individuals. Um, Yesterday also I got a request from one organization to help them understand whether people, the youth in among low income societies, whether they need trainings to for employment or for entrepreneurship. And then the thought came to my mind, and I wanted to share that thought. The thought is that do we really need to commission this kind of a study? I mean, to study whether people need the essential services or not. There are studies around need of water initiative, health initiative, sanitation initiative, agriculture initiatives, food security initiatives, gender initiatives, art, culture initiatives. We all are same. And why do we assume that low income people will need otherwise? They will actually need all these services. The real question we should ask ourselves is that within the limitation of time we have to work with the low income society and the budget we have, what sort of product, what sort of tiny change we can bring, how do we positively influence the society in a way that even if we are not doing end-to-end services, but still there are somebody else in the ecosystem who can take it forward. So, so let's assume you have a fund of 1 crore, and you have been given 2 years by donor to achieve something. Then the deal here should be that what kind of initiative should I design, and when we design it, that we should fully appreciate the fact that I have called my shots on funds and timelines. So the scale should be left to it, the law of nature to decide. The problem happens when you want to control all the three, and that is where the comes in the picture. That is where all the mishappenings are happening in the development sector. People, international development organizations, donors are trying to trying to have control on all the three aspects of scale, time, and budget. And that will, if you have these 3 points chalked out in your mind, then it is very difficult to really fit yourself suitably in the grand scheme of things. You might actually do more harm than good. So, to this organization who has asked me to do this study on need of trainings and capacity building among rural youth, I really want to recommend you that have the conviction that people need it, because you also know in your heart that people need it. So you can ask me to suggest you that given your budget, given your timeline, given the geography you want to work in, what kind of offer you or the product or services you really want to design, and then if law of nature allow you to have impact only on one person, you should be humble enough to accept that as a grace of God. Because to do good even to one person, I mean, think about your own self. Can you actually doing good to yourself? I mean, if you can just make yourself happy and relax and enjoy the pleasure, the grace of the God, it's sufficient. So why should your development initiative should target that I should have impact? I should impact 100,000 people, youth, with my this fund and within this timeline. That is ego. And I really request all the development practitioners with this example that kindly, for God's sake, do not really study whether people need it or not. It's a ego. It's a paternalistic attitude. People need it for sure. You have your own budget. If you have your own sense of timeline, so just do something which is really necessary, however small it is. Don't think about going very deep and have your vertical scale to be showcased to the world, or to go wide and cover more geography, more set of people. um, you can't really do that. You design your initiative and let and request law of the eternal design to take it forward. But you do whatever you do with a good intention, with a good comprehensive analysis of all the variables. Do not reduce the variable to make yourself fit in the scheme of things to showcase it to some other donor. So just have a good heart, good mind. Though do not exclude variables which are really necessary for poor people. Do not play with the dignity. And at the last, even if you don't do any good to them, just don't make them hopeless. You go there, work for 2 3 years, you withdraw yourself. People lose hope. And I will end with a story. One day, a king was passing through the gate of his fort, and he saw the poor person standing as a guard on the gate. And that poor person did not really have anything to cover himself in a harsh, cold condition. The king had never seen it before, so king said, "How long you have been working for me?" The poor person said, the old person without any cloth, he said, "I have been working for you for last 20 years." And you don't have any clothes? King asked. And this guy said, "No, sir, I don't really have any clothes." So king said, "Okay, let me go inside and bring some blanket for you." King went inside the fort. He didn't come back. And next morning, that poor person was found dead. Just because he outsourced his agency to the king based on a promise which king forgot. And that hope, when you create hope in somebody's heart and do not really fulfill it, it's a biggest sin you can do. So for God's sake, do not commit sin, because it will harm you otherwise. And do not really give false hope. Just do whatever best you can do, and do not really try to be God and control time, scale, and the resources all by yourself. Thank you very much. May God bless us all.